One of his great muckers, Steven Gerrard, has been speaking, and he's been speaking to Rio Ferdinand on the Rio Meets podcast. He's been talking about his England memories. Now, Gerrard had described former England teammates as egotistical losers with bitter Premier League rivalries that made him loathe call-ups during his international career. He reflected on his time with England amongst the so-called golden generation.
I think we were all egotistical losers.
Yeah.
Because I watch the telly now and I see Carragher sitting next to Paul Scholes on this fan debate, and he looked like they'd been best mates for 20 years. And I see Carragher's relationship with Gary Neville, he looked like they'd been mates for 20 years. I'm probably more close and friendly with you now than I ever was when I played with you for 15 years. So why didn't we connect when we were 20, 21, 22, 23? Was it ego? Was it rivalry? Was it... Why are we all mature enough now and at stages in our life where we're closer and more connected now? Why couldn't we connect as England teammates back then? And I think it was down to the culture within England that we were all never connected, all in our rooms too much. We wasn't friendly or connected. We wasn't a team.
No.
We never at any stage become a real good, strong team.
Wow, it was never a team. We never connected. There was certainly, undoubtedly, Danny, it was a dressing room full of quality. But had it been a dressing room full of harmony, might they have ended up winning something?
Yeah, maybe. I think Stevie's more educated than me on talking about his time with England because he was with the squad so many years. I was only part of that squad for a couple of years. And it was, the days were tedious and long. There wasn't much help or inspiration from the management in regarding getting you together and doing more. But maybe, you know, he talks about immaturity. Sometimes I suppose you are as players. You don't. I never really saw that big friction with the United boys. I've gotten all right with them. But I know what he means. There wasn't really a togetherness like you'd be away with the club team. So he makes a fair point, really.
I mean, it's such a missed opportunity looking back at that.
Yeah.
Because had it been, this lot might have won you something.
I'm still a believer that tactically we were wrong, that we stuck with the 4-4-2, maybe because Beck's played on the right and Owen needed a partner, all those different things we thought were necessary. But I suppose you could argue what Gareth did with the England squad, which was a lesser squad in terms of ability and getting further in competitions, was a lot to do with their togetherness. So I think it's a pretty fair point he makes.
I mean, it should have been encouraged, Simon. Or should it have been encouraged? Should they not have just got closer and been decent to each other anyway?
I don't know what the purpose of these mea culpas are. These sort of retrospective drive-bys about they probably didn't think this at the time, and over the years they've accumulated this thought process, and now they trot it out in interviews like this.
Well, what he was saying was that now we see this relationship between Gary Neville and Carragher, and you know.
Yeah, but that's because. But first of all, that's 20 years after the fact.
I know, but that's what he's saying.
Mature men.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. They're not competitors anymore.
You're mature men. We've all changed from our 20s to our 40s to our 50s. So these are grown men at certain times, you'd think. Although some of the drivel that comes out of Gary Neville's mouth doesn't necessarily lend itself towards that, does it? But going
10
to
past 10.
Going
in there early.
Going early with that. Going to the point that he makes. The culture, this is the culture that we create in footballers to some extent, the sense of entitlement. And I understand it, but I also disagree with it. The sense of entitlement puts you into a rarefied air where you're institutionalized and everything is provided for you. Everything that you need to have is given to you rather than you having to deal with it yourself. So to suggest that it's very difficult to go away to play for your country for a very short period of time and to be stuck in hotel rooms because you didn't have a mobile phone, which of course you would have done at that time because mobile phones were well in existence.
We did, but it was only, you could only text on them.
Sure, but the fact of the matter is that because we've built in to footballers' culture that there is, you know, that they are a very rarefied breed. They can never be told that they're wrong. And ultimately, criticism is not something that's available to them, certainly not inside the industry. They accept it from outside the industry, but not inside it. It produces this sort of mentality which is not able. We do not hear these mea culpas from other countries, other teams that have other international players that have played for their countries at times when it hasn't been quite the success that maybe they thought they were entitled to. And here's another little nugget. Maybe we just weren't good enough. Maybe the teams that beat us were better than us. When we went to 2002 World Cup where we had a chance, we got beat by the Brazilians. They were a better side.
Yeah.
2006, whoever beat us. 2010, categorically we weren't good enough. So you look at these questions and we write our own little observations about this golden generation. With all due respect to Steven Gerrard, who was a wonderful footballer and I have the greatest admiration for, and the rest of that group, maybe just against the opposition that we played against, despite our own nationalistic belief that we were very good. Maybe we just weren't as good as the opposition, and that is about the long, short, and tall of it.
Yeah. So
And we
there's
are potentially now because the opposition has diminished and there are no dominant teams.
I think that's a fair point. I mean, there's no guarantee, even if we were all together and doing more team bonding things, or we were all a bit more mature and everyone was getting on better, that they would have won. I mean, from a footballing perspective, it doesn't really matter what you do sometimes. I mean, the best example I ever saw was when, this feud between Andy Cole and Teddy Sheringham, but they played together for Manchester United and they were as lethal a duo as you could play against.
Yeah.
They were like, they just knew where each other was all the time.
So you don't really need to like each other to perform well on the big stage, but it might have helped.
Well, we'll never know.
Can you imagine it, Danny, years ago with Brazil, Bebeto, Romario, Rivaldo? Now, we never really got on. It's such an opportunity a lot. Are you kidding me?
You know, it was an interesting thing, and we didn't take the opportunity to do that yesterday because it didn't occur to us. The fellow that was in yesterday, Gilbert, that was talking about the
All Blacks
spirit of it. I wonder if the entire group liked one another. I wonder if they were all friends, if they got on.
Yeah.
And I wonder how important it is in the psyche of a team. You tell us that. Is it important in the psyche of a team that you like the people that you play with on a regular basis?
I don't think so. As long as the majority get on. The irony is there's so much criticism now for seeing players shaking hands in a tunnel or chatting to each other after a game from old pros, saying they're all too friendly. We wouldn't be shaking hands in our day. Wouldn't be chatting to them after we just lost 1-0 for 10 minutes on the pitch.
Yeah,
It's like what
did you want exactly?
You've got this. I actually think the animosity towards each other back then was a healthy thing.
Yeah.
Because it was respect as well. We respected the United boys because they were so good and we were trying to be like them. Right. And I think it has gone too far the other way now. You've got players who are rivals at club level who are best mates in England and, doing things together. And it's like, hold on. Yeah. And then you see them like shaking, tapping each other on the back to get them up when they have a mistimed tackle in a club match.
Well, if they were,
we've lost a little bit.
If Gerrard is right, if they were egotistical losers, what is the England of today?
I think it's a whole different dynamic now. There is a more...
They've lost the ego, but they still have the loser tag.
I still think they've got ego. Still think most top footballers have got ego. They do seem more together. Gareth, that was Gareth's biggest thing that he did well.
Yeah.
We could talk about the in-game management, selection.
Togetherness.
Bringing the lads together, giving them an environment where they quite enjoyed going there.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of the England squads I was in over a couple of years, there was always pull-outs and people looking to get out of it because, especially if it was a rubbish game, because it was so tedious and boring.
At international level or at club level, who did you go on with best?
At club level?
Yeah, you. Did you go on with everybody? Or did you regularly play in a team with a guy you didn't like?
Got on generally. I had one little fallout with Dufy for a couple of months.
Has Duf.
Yeah, but that was over nothing. Really.
Everybody fell out with him, didn't they?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I was with me. I grew
Did
up.
Nicky Barmby bash you up?
No. Nicky's a great lad.
Where'd you get that from?
We nearly had it to do on a pre-season tour once, but that was a misunderstanding. Nick's a great lad.
Right.
I roomed with Stevie for about 5 years and Cara and Michael were a similar. We were a little group.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's rare that you get two players who are that against each other that it becomes public knowledge.
Okay.
You'll have little spells like a week or two where I've seen a few scraps, but even they get back to,
We're going to take a quick break. Before we do you think Gerrard will go back to Rangers?
I think there's a chance, yeah.
Do you think he should?
No.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.